again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about the Robber Baron expansion to Railroad Rivals, as well as the premium edition for both Railroad Rivals and for the Robber Baron expansion. So before I get started, I want to say that you should check out my links in the description below, where you can find links to my Patreon page, so that if you're in a position to and would like to, you can support the channel, as well as links to my Teespring store, where you can get cool gamer gear, shirts, mugs, etc., and also a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. All right, so first off, I do want to thank Forbidden Games for these copies. Forbidden Games upgraded me, sent me a premium edition of Railroad Rivals. They had previously sent me the regular edition, and also the expansion and the premium edition of the expansion to Railroad Rivals. So I'm going to talk about what these entail. I'm going to rate and review them and tell you why I would recommend or not recommend them to you in particular. So first off, let's start with, what do you get when you get the premium edition of the regular Railroad Rivals? So the premium edition, the main thing you get, as it's marked here, it says real wood tiles. It says right here. So that is what the main thing is for the premium edition. You also, though, which it doesn't say right there, you get an upgraded board. This board, the market board, has recessed areas in it to help not allow pieces to slide off onto other spaces. They've changed it to look much more like a actual old-time stock market board or commodities market versus, say, how the old one used to have the railroad tracks on it, the one that came with the regular non-premium edition set of Railroad Rivals. So the recesses, though, definitely make this feel like it is a big upgrade to the basic board. And then, like I said before, the big thing is it comes with wooden tiles. So you get wooden tiles for the particular stocks. So I'm going to show you a couple of those here. Here's a few of them. I got, for instance, this is the ACL right here, and I've got SR. These are all just the different railroads that you can own stock in, and the M and P. And these are nice solid wood. They're clacktastic. But really where you feel more of the value in this is with the wooden city and stock tiles. So these, I've got one city and one stock tile here. These are gorgeous. They're printed on just like they are on the cardboard ones, except they're made of layered wood. It looks like sandwiched wood. They're varnished over them. The printing is like, you can feel it. It feels like it's embossed. It's like three-dimensional printing. And it's clacktastic. They're absolutely lovely. These feel so much higher quality than the basic just cardboard tiles. Like, this is one of those things where holding them in my hands and clacking them together and then playing games with them has thoroughly convinced me. It was one of those things where I was like, oh, it's nice, but it's not necessary. And I haven't been convinced it's necessary, but holding in my hands have convinced me that it is more than just nice. The wooden tiles are fantastic. These are really cool. So if you get the premium edition of Railroad Rivals, those are the big extra things you're going to get with it. And then, of course, if you get the premium edition of Railroad Rivals, there is a premium edition of the expansion as well, so that it will fit in with these nice wooden tiles you have, because there are new tiles in the Robber Baron expansion. So let's have a look at what you get in the Robber Baron expansion. So I'm going to run through everything. Now, one thing is, if you just buy, I believe, the regular version of the Robber Baron expansion, not even the premium one, you will get that new premium board that also comes in the premium version of Railroad Tycoon. So that's pretty cool, because it came with another premium board there. You have in here a cardboard tile for an extra player, which can either be Nicholas Lehman or Carla Drake. I'm going to show you them there. We have an extra stock. There is the New York, New Haven, and Hartford stock, NYN and H. We have the premium commodities in here. So like, you know, instead of just cubes, you have anvils for the metal. You have little bundles of wheat for the grain. You have like wooden boards for the wood. You have what looks like little coal cars for the coal. And there's a new commodity in here, which they have the white cubes if you want to use the cubes, or they have the premium version. It is mail, and the premium version looks like envelopes, which is really cool. Then we've got the tiles. So we've got a bunch of tiles here for just some new areas in regard to city tiles, and there's that new stock NYN H and H. These are specifically all for if you want to play this 6 players. Because in addition, you have the new green player, which I already showed you there. Here are the green player's pieces, including, of course, in here we have the green player's hotel and water tower in this little bag with the white cubes. In addition to all the new locations and the new stock and all of those items, we also have some new optional rule tiles, which I'm going to get into as I go through them here. But just appearance-wise, I want to say that these look gorgeous. So I'm going to show a couple of them up here. I'm going to be showing some close-up shots of them later during this video, so you're going to get a better look at each of these. But I did just want to kind of show you a couple of them while I'm pulling them out of the box here and discussing them. All right, so let's run through all this stuff here. So first off, you've got a bit here that explains this expansion is meant to be a toolbox. It's meant to be a bunch of modular rules and modular components that you can add in if you want to, leave out if you want to, take and leave whatever you like. And I like that. I like that if there's some of this that you're not a fan of, you don't have to use it, and that's great. Whereas if there's other bits of it that you're a big fan of, you can use those. So yeah, I do quite like that. Now I'm going to run you through everything that's actually in here and what they do. So you've got the components for the 6th player. We've got a new good, the white cubes for mail. We've got the premium goods. We've got the 7 new city tiles, and we've got the new stock, and we've got the advanced tiles. So first off, the largest bunch of components in here are specifically to get a 6th player out of Railroad Rivals. So now, Railroad Rivals, as it comes, is a 1 to 5 player game because of the solo variant that it comes with. But with this expansion, you can get 6 players out of it. So right off the bat, if you are a person whose regular gaming group often contains 6 people and you hate it when your game only goes up to 5 and you can't get that 6th player in, this might be a reason right there to buy this expansion. Because getting a 6th player in when you often play with 6 people would be huge. So the components that help you to make it a six player game. First off, you've got the 6th player pieces and player tile, the green pieces. Then you've got the as part of expanding it to being a 6 player game, you're going to need an extra good. So you've got the white cubes for mail, for an extra commodity. You have the extra city tiles, as well as the fact that there are new alternate versions of Boston and New York City, which contain the NYN, H and H Railroad as part of them. All the new tiles also contain NYN, H and H, and you have, of course, the new stock tiles and the stock tracker tile for NYN, H and H, which all is necessary for turning this into a 6 player game. That is probably, of all the various rules in here, that is definitely the largest number of components to support a single rule set, is being able to turn this into a 6 player game. There's a lot of components just for that. Now, the next thing in the advanced rules is they specifically tell you that when using the advanced rules, you should use what used to be an optional rule for a different version of the bidding in the back of the Railroad Rivals rulebook. The designer, Glenn Drover, would like you to replace the standard rules for bidding with that optional rule, especially when using these advanced components. He feels that it works better with it. The optional method now has that if you are bidding for first place and you stop bidding, you pass, you will now immediately go to the end of initiative order. Whereas in the base set regular rules, it used to be you kept bidding, whoever won went to the front, but no one else changed their order. Everyone else remained in the same order they were relative to each other. Then there is the set of instructions actually in the rulebook here for the water tower and the hotels, which was something that was not in the rulebook in the base game. They had an extra little pamphlet added in because it was something I think that was added on as a stretch goal in the Kickstarter originally. So it was available in all first edition copies of Railroad Rivals, but it wasn't in the first edition rulebook. Now it is in the rulebook to the Robber Baron expansion, specifically how to use the hotels and the water towers. But if you watched my review and tutorial of the base game, I included how to use the hotels and water towers because I'm a big fan of those. I think they're really cool. And then we have the advanced tiles. So you've got some advanced city tiles and some advanced stock tiles. So for the advanced city tiles, the first thing you have is the Transcontinental Railroad. So the Transcontinental Railroad is a city tile that starts with four commodities on it, and it has an RR on every side, which stands for railroad. It stands for wild. This is a wild tile. This tile is fantastic. I absolutely love this one. This is probably my favorite of the new tiles. I love a wild tile being in here. In fact, I think I would have liked two of these. These are really great. Also, I think it might be fun to house rule it, actually, to have this as the starting tile to make it easier, especially in smaller player count games when there's less tiles out there available, to make it easier to make matches, at least to the first starting tile. But yeah, this is a really great tile in general. I really like the Transcontinental Railroad. The next one after that we have is New Industry. Now, New Industry is a very interesting one. The interesting thing about these new city tiles, though, that are not normal cities, like the Transcontinental Railroad is a normal city. You can play it later. This one is not. New Industry doesn't look like anything that used to be in the game. It doesn't look like a stock tile. It doesn't look like a city tile. It goes in the city deck because it has the city tile in the back, but you don't play it like a normal city tile. The interesting thing about these tiles like this is that when you get them after bidding on who gets to claim tiles first, second, third, etc., when you get these tiles, they're going to take up a spot in your hand and not be playable like a regular city tile. It will permanently reduce the number of city tiles you're able to have in your hand. So you have to think carefully before choosing them, but they all have interesting abilities. So the New Industry tile, in particular, allows you, during the deliver goods phase, you get to play it. You can select a city tile that has already been placed, and you can draw new cubes from it, filling it back up. So this is a great way when you've got, say, your hotel already out on the board and you're trying to get deliveries across certain stocks into your hotel, but one of the big areas you were delivering from is out of cubes. You can refill it full of cubes and immediately start delivering across those particular railroads, and therefore get those stocks to raise and then deliver to your hotel, which of course also would allow you to get more points. So the New Industry tile is really cool. It's a very interesting addition. I like this one. Next, we've got the Railroad Headquarters. So the Railroad Headquarters is also held in your hand. Takes up one of the spots that a city tile would normally hold in your hand. When played, you get to do 2 deliveries in a single turn. This can be huge for raising certain stocks. This can also be huge for getting lots of points. You get to make 2 deliveries. You're going to want to try to make them be different types of commodities so they're not progressively less and less points. But also, if you're going before some of your opponents, you can reduce the value of a couple of goods before they get to deliver them, which is really cool. This is also a very interesting one. It just becomes tricksy when you don't want to both take, say, the New Industry and the Railroad Headquarters yourself, because you're going to wind up having no actual railroads and city tiles in your hand, which can be difficult. So you're going to want to, you might want to get one of these, but you're probably not going to want to grab both of them. Next, we have lots of interesting tiles that you get in the stock deck. Now, the first one I want to talk about is the locomotive upgrades here. These are stock tiles that when you get them, you can place them in front of yourself. Every time you deliver a good, you get +1 point. If you get both locomotive upgrades, you can even get more points. And since they're from the stock deck, they don't take up spots that would normally be taken up by your cities, which is my one issue I have with some of the special city tiles. But these will earn you extra points, and these can even very nicely chain with the ability of the railroad headquarters to do multiple deliveries and therefore get multiple extra points. These are pretty cool and very interesting. Then we've got a bunch of tiles that are specifically stock shenanigans. We have merger, buy stock, dump stock, stock issue, insider trading, and loot the company. All these do weird, quirky, interesting things. They are things you're going to get, again, instead of getting a regular stock tile to add to your stock portfolio. So for buy stock allows you to purchase a stock straight out of the draw pile, which is pretty interesting. So what you do is you have to pay points equal to current value of the stock. Pick any stock. Then you get to search the draw pile for that stock before increasing the stock by 1. So this is actually a really interesting one, that when there's a draw of different stocks out there and you don't want any of them, there's a different stock you want, or you want to hold off and maybe decide later, but instead of grabbing one of the stocks you don't want, maybe the buy stock is out there, you can grab this, hold off till later. Later you can play this to be able to purchase a specific stock from the deck. And that's pretty interesting. It's an interesting mechanic. So the next one we have here is the dump stock. So this one, it says you can sell all of your stock tiles of a single railroad. Then you're going to receive points equal to the current value of that railroad in points per stock sold. And then the stock tiles that are sold are returned to the draw pile, which is interesting. They get shuffled back in. And the value of that railroad stock goes down by 2 for each stock tile dumped. So this is something interesting to do when you've got, a stock that someone else is totally beating you out on and it's not really helping you win. You can really quickly get some points, get rid of it, and reduce the value of that stock. It's an interesting, tricksy thing that you can do. It is kind of an interesting new mechanic that's added in for this expansion. So the next one we have is the loot the company. So loot the company is a weird one. All right, so you can select any railroad of which you own at least one stock tile and which no other player owns more stock tiles than you do. So you have to at least be tied for the most. The player gains 5 points, and then all 4 of that railroad stocks are removed from the game, and that railroad is considered out of business. So this is another one where you're competing for control of a company with someone, and you would rather grab, since you have the same amount of points as them anyway, you'd rather grab 5 points and then just remove the stocks from the game and basically cheat them out of their points. Again, another interesting backstabbing type mechanic that's added in if you want to use this tile from the expansion. The next one we have is merger. Merger is a really interesting one. Merger allows you to merge 2 companies, 2 different railroad companies into one. The way you use it is when you play it, you move the 2 stock values towards each other. They go 1 point at a time, starting with the lower stock. So if the 2 stocks are, on the stock track, and one is at 3 and one is at 5, the 3 will go to 4, then the 5 will go to 4, then they're at the same number. Then you put them on the same space, and from this point on, anything that affects either one of those railroads will affect both of them. And all the stocks for both of those railroads count as for the new merged railroad. This is a very interesting one where you could wind up really improving the value of a particular stock by merging it with another more valuable stock, or reducing the value of a stock by merging it with a less valuable stock. But either way, both stocks are going to go up faster because of how all of the deliveries across either one of them now will raise them both together, which is very interesting. So the thing about this, though, is the player has to own at least one stock of both railroads in the merger, and no other player can have more stock tiles than the more valuable of the 2. So again, at least with the more valuable of the 2 stocks, you must be at least tied for the most stock of that type. The next one is issue stock. When this tile is played, an extra stock is drawn and is available in the draft. So regardless of the turn order, the owning player selects one of the available stocks first. So you will wind up getting 2 stocks in this particular instance. This is another one very similar to the buy stock tile, where when this comes up and there's lots of stocks that you're not really that into, you grab it so later on you can hopefully get something better in its stead. It's situationally interesting. I mean, if it comes up and there's some more interesting stocks, you're not going to want to get this one. But if it comes up and there's nothing you're really that interested in, or it's a very early game and you'd rather hold off your choice as to what to get to later to see how the stocks are doing, it could be an interesting way to do that. And then the last one is insider trading. When this tile is played, the owning player moves to the front of the turn order at no cost. You play this immediately after bidding for turn order, so that is that's one of those things where you get it and then just you wait, and there'll be a turn at which you will not have to bid anything and you're going to get to go first anyway. Okay, so that's all the main stuff that comes in here. So let's discuss what do I think about all of these bits of this expansion? What would I use? What wouldn't I use? Okay, so first off, the premium components, the wood, the anvils for the ore, the bales of wheat for the grain. I love the look of these, and on paper, if you tell me any game has upgraded components like that, I'm usually on board. But I have a slight issue with these. My issue with these is the fact that you're doing blind draws of cubes out of a bag, and if you have these in the bag instead of the cubes, you're going to be able to tell the different shape of them. So I'm not actually a big fan of these. This is something I wouldn't use. I would still use the cubes personally. Now, as for the all the components that help you play 6 players, this is great. And this, I mean, there are plenty of expansions which will just be like a 6th player expansion for a game, and that's enough to sell it. There's not even really that much else in there. This also has a lot of other things in there. The 6th player expansion, again, like I said before, if you are someone who normally plays games with 6 people, this might be worth it for you alone just to get all the 6th player components. Now, the advanced tiles. I'm a bit of a mixed bag on the advanced tiles. There's some that I love, and there's others I'm a little more like, I need to be in the mood to use this one. So, okay, I said before, I absolutely love the Intercontinental Railroad. I like the other city tiles. I feel like the other special city tiles, again, are the sort of things where you wouldn't want them to come up all the time because getting them permanently reduces the number of city tiles you can play. But situationally, they can be very interesting and very useful. And also, just generally speaking, they can be a new interesting way to breathe new life into the game of Railroad Rivals if it's started to become a little stale for you and your group. Now, the stock tiles I like better because they don't take up spots in your hand, and they give you other more tricksy ways of scoring points versus just the owning of stocks and whatnot. So there is more interest in a lot of them to me, but there are a couple of them that are only very situationally useful. I'm a big fan of the locomotive upgrade, giving you the ability to score more points off deliveries. I like that one a lot. I like ones like loot the company and dump stock, but some of the others like buy stock, issue stock, I think sometimes these can be really good, and other times they're going to be duds. It really depends on what they come up with in the market before you bid on who goes first. But again, you can if there's some of these that you're not a big fan of, you can exclude those. You can just take the ones you like and include them in the game. I mean, this is meant to be a modular expansion. Now, finally, I do want to talk about there's some extra rules for the game end and for scoring in here, which is my favorite part of this expansion. So, first off, at the end of the game, you get 2 deliver good phases on the final turn, And then also, there's an extra way to score points. You score a point for every railroad you got out on the board. Now, I love these additions. I love the extra chance to deliver goods, one last chance to manipulate the stock market to get some of the stocks to go up. That's awesome. Also, of course, the last chance to grab some extra points. But then also, it really makes a reason why doing those double connections with cities where, you have a city that it has, you have a kind of like an elbow formation, and you're able to find a city that can match both, so you can put 2 trains down. Generally speaking, in the regular game, it gave you a little more maneuverability for your choices in regard to delivering goods, but other than that, it didn't really do a whole lot for you. Here, that's an extra point now, and I really like that. I like that addition. I think that's fantastic. So, all right, overall, I would say when talking about the premium editions, if you are a fan of Railroad Rivals, is it worth it to upgrade to the premium edition? Yes. The wooden tiles are absolutely awesome and clacktastic, and I would definitely recommend it to you. Now, as regard to the expansion overall, if you are a fan of Railroad Rivals, but you've started to feel that the base game is starting to get stale, a little played out in your group, and you're looking to revitalize it, or, maybe just you need to get a 6th player on board. You want to be able to play when you have 6 people over. In either of these cases, I do think it's highly worthwhile, especially since you can pick and choose what parts of this expansion you're going to use at any given time. And that is really cool, and I think it does serve its purpose in that regard. And I really, really like the changes they did to the end of the game and to the scoring of points for this expansion. So those are really cool. So for those reasons, I'm going to give the Robber Baron expansion 7.5 stars out of 10. I do really like it. I think it's really cool. And like I said, if you're looking either to revitalize the game for your group or to be able to get a 6th player on board, either of those reasons are a good reason to buy this. And again, if you're a big fan of Railroad Rivals and you're thinking about upgrading to the premium edition, should you do it? The answer, in my opinion, is if you've got the money and you're already thinking about it, yes, you should do it. I love these wooden tiles. All right, so if you have any comments, questions, concerns on either of these products, let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see me do more reviews of board game expansions like this, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.